Welcome, Carm Capriato, the Service Aftermarkets podcast pioneer with the gold standard of aftermarket business podcasts. Join me for Aftermarket Insights as we advance the aftermarket. And as always, know that you'll learn just one thing. Find us on your favorite podcast listening app and RemarkableResults.biz or on my YouTube channel. Hey everybody, Carm Capriato. Good to have you here. So appreciate your support, your listenership, and all that you do to share this. And don't forget about my YouTube channel. You know, we all know someone who has been affected by breast cancer. And did you know that our service aftermarket has its own cancer fundraiser? It's every October. It's called Breaks for Breasts, and it's raised $1.8 million so far since its start. It's for helping to develop the vaccine for triple-negative breast cancer. 100% of every dollar goes to the Cleveland Clinic. Keep your eye out for a podcast coming up on how to get involved. Here's how you do it. Breaksforbreast.com. Enroll your shop in this great cause. With me today is my friend Shawn Gilfillan from Automotive Magic in New Jersey. I always
Lake
have
Hopatcong.
trouble. Lake Hopatcong
There you
and
go.
Kenvil. He also has a company, Magic Solutions. He's a high-performance team leadership training coach, and also from lifecalibration.com. Hey, man.
Hey. Glad to be here.
This is the man. Look at him in the face. He's the one who brought me to the parachute thing that Tracy and I went on. We were jumping out of that plane. It was Shawn who called us on the way down as we were driving to your conference, and we ended up saying yes, and we jumped.
Yeah, off the bucket list, right?
It was off the bucket list.
Definitely an exciting day.
Thank you so much for this. Hey, look, workforce development. This is a very important topic for our industry. You've done it. You're bringing some of your perspective on how to get government monies to develop training. And I can't say enough about the investment that we need to make in training in our industry. And with all the conferences, all the leader-led that comes to your town, with all the video that you may have to pay $99 to get a lunch and learn, all of this stuff could be applied to a very nicely structured training program that you could go to your state, to your county, and say, I've got this. Here's one thing I know. They want to give you the money. They just want a good plan.
Yeah, they definitely need a plan. We've been working with the workforce development here in the state of New Jersey. Ours specifically is a county-driven program. I know that they are nationwide. All the different states have different programs. I know there's a couple of them that through just networking have been tough for people to get funding, or the legwork, sometimes people say, is just a lot of work. And then, yeah, there's some paperwork behind it. But once you got yourself set up and established and you really create a relationship with those people, they really do want to give you the money. I think the real benefit here and looking at big picture is, we're in an industry that's not going anywhere, continuously having to learn new things and develop new skills to be able to remain competitive, right? That's one of I think the biggest expenses that maybe doesn't get as much attention as it should or it could, especially with these programs to help. Just recently, connecting those relationships and having to go through all the paperwork. There's a bunch of different programs that they have in our specific county. I was able to get all of our technicians certified for the state inspection license, right? We put a class together and we actually got 5 or 6 shops together at the same time. We kind of pooled it together. They helped reimburse for the training necessary to do that. They put a lot of our staff through our leadership course. So basically the way that works is you got to lay the money out up front when the program's over and they get their certificates and people get through the program and they're worth more to the business. They can make a better hourly wage. We're basically improving the workforce in this industry. And the funding has been very helpful on our side. Some of the training and whatnot, it gets costly. The other thing that we're starting to develop an apprenticeship program, which is cool. They also have a funding program for apprenticeships. Basically, the way that's laid out is you have to have a really good apprenticeship plan. You got to have a training plan in place, and they're willing to reimburse or pay up to, I think it's $20,000 per year per employee to put them through a training program. It's just been really helpful to have them on our side.
That is a great concept and or thought about the apprentice programs that you can build in your own company. And yet there are a lot of apprentice programs around the country that have a Department of Labor support built in, and you just have to do the math and the paperwork and you can get reimbursement. So I love your point. Here it is. We're sitting on the sidelines saying we coulda, woulda, shoulda, but the money is going to be there from the government. If you just do your homework, don't just say, I hate paperwork. Just do it. Is there a lot of paperwork?
There's quite a bit. It's a little extensive. And then keeping up on the training program and the check-ins to make sure everything's on track. And if it's off track, what are we doing to get it back on track? It's definitely, it's a little bit of work, but I mean, come on.
Okay.
You don't get anything
right.
for free these days, right?
You're 100% right. I love the group idea where you and a bunch of other shops got together and said, hey, let's take 4 or 5 of our people and put them through this. I also love your warning. You got to pay for this up front, and then you got to submit. And have you heard of anybody where they didn't approve the funds?
No, usually it's laid out in a good, structured plan. And
right. But you got to do the homework. You got to submit it to be right. I love your word structured. You've got to fit in. The government is, if you love them or hate them, they have rules, I guess, and you got to conform, right?
Yep. And I think, when you look at it from that perspective, the workforce development, they want to help us grow our industry. They want to help the services, the trades, young people coming out of school. They want to get people back into working in the field. When you have the opportunity to bring somebody on board and train them up, you're training them your way. It's very expensive to bring a new person on board into any company and have to go through that 6 months before they really get moving. Technician wise, they might not be producing right out of the gate. So they tend to cost a lot more if they're not producing enough to really generate what you're paying them. And it makes it way more affordable to get somebody up to speed and moving.
So let's also think, Shawn, about other skilled trades, and there are many of them. Honorable, incredible skilled trades that all want a piece of this money too. They have the tenacity to play the government paperwork game, and not for any reason, but for legitimate training, be it classroom, work-based learning, to get certifications for people. And even if, for example, you took, and again, I'm stretching and I'm not sure, maybe it's local, it's statewide run, but what if I took a young individual who had interned with me and says, hey, I want to send you to the local post-secondary community college for a couple of years. Let's see if we can get funding for that. I think that's possible.
And I'm not sure if it's in the workforce development, but those are the type of people you build a relationship, right? The women that we're talking to down here that do the 3 counties in New Jersey, they're so helpful. And their goal is really to be able to spend all the money that they got funded by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So that they can increase a lot of times. If they use it all up before the end of the year is over, which is, and I think is July for them or June, they split the year in the middle, then they get that funded again next year because they're out there creating people to be more educated, be able to provide a better service and really growing the workforce.
Right? I love the concept of getting the intern inside. And there are so many high schools that they're really opening their eyes. My son is a counselor. He works with the Big Picture program, and he's constantly working with businesses to get these young people hooked up. Couple of hours a day, 2 or 3 days a week. The schools are providing transportation and all the insurance, everything to cover it, so that so many of our young kids get exposed. And again, to my point, if you are a shop and you haven't connected with one of the schools that is doing an intern program like this, shame on you. You should start. Remember, every other skilled trade is fighting to fill their ranks.
Yeah. I mean, people jump out of our trade to just go do something else like plumbing or to become an electrician or whatnot, right? When we look at the auto industry, it's kind of like we have all the trades packed into one car. We're plumbers, we're electricians, we're computer network engineers, we're mechanics. So we kind of have all of the trades packed into one industry, which I always thought was unique about the automotive space.
Yeah. You sent me a couple of notes, and one of them was incumbent worker training funding. And I really want to figure out what that meant. You said a reimbursement of $5,000 per employee from the start date of their training. What do you know about that? I mean, this is specific to New Jersey. I get that. But I'm sure as others in the industry reach out, make that phone call, they're going to come up with some of these issues. What about this $5,000 per employee thing? What's that about?
Well, so you have up to $5,000 per year in New Jersey to train your employees while they're on the job. So if you want to send somebody, like we used it to take our entire staff out divisions a couple of years ago, right? The tickets, I think, were $700. Well, we took our entire staff, closed the shop down for a few days, and they were willing to pay for the tickets for the training. Obviously, they're not going to pay for the room and board and the airfare and stuff like that, but it's still, every little bit helps. We put our staff through a leadership program. It was roughly around $2,500 per employee to go through the program. At the end of the program, we got reimbursed to send pretty much our entire staff through that program. It resets every year. So as you continue to develop your staff and your people, you can go back and, like I said, build a relationship with the people that are in charge there. And they really do their best to bend over backwards and really try to get every dollar that they can for you based on your specific, training program or whatever type of training or development you want to do for your people. Communication courses, things like that.
Hey, it's no secret. We're facing a technician shortage, and Napa Auto Care has a solution with the Napa Auto Care Apprentice Program. The program was pioneered by one of our own. Pete McNeil and Master Technician Jake Sorensen from McNeil's Auto Care in Sandy, Utah, realized that the problem of not having technicians available for hire was not going to solve itself and decided to take action and look at a different audience of individuals available for hire. A focus was put on younger individuals with the right passion, desire, and attitude to work in the automotive repair industry. Jake and Pete sought after these individuals and developed a technician apprentice program to give them the training needed to become a successful technician in today's world. The Napa Auto Care Apprentice Program includes a comprehensive 9-stage curriculum that includes a variety of types of training, and they are classroom training videos exclusive to the apprentice program. Now, these videos provide in-depth training from a successful master technician. Also, Autotech classes with instructor-led courses offered through Napa Autotech and Autotech e-learning. This web-based e-learning is designed to target specific training topics. And finally, hands-on learning. The apprentice will apply the skills gained from the classroom training videos, Autotech instructor-led training, and Autotech e-learnings in the shop with the guidance of a mentor. The apprentice program curriculum is competency-based, meaning an apprentice can move through each stage at a pace that best suits them. Most apprentices complete the program within 2 years. Upon completion, apprentices will have earned ASE G1, A4, A5, and AC certifications, adding industry validation to the skills an apprentice acquires. Look, having an apprentice in your shop will ultimately benefit your bottom line as they advance through the program. And in most cases, as the apprentice develops their skill set producing billable hours, you'll begin to see a growth in your gross profit by stage 5. One of the largest barriers to entry for individuals looking to enter the automotive repair industry is the cost of tools. Now, keep your apprentice motivated with an apprentice toolkit. Now, Napa Auto Care has worked with our supplying partners to offer an exclusive comprehensive tool set, including a 4-drawer tool cart for all registered apprentices. Hey, to learn more, members can visit member.napaautocare.com. I so agree. I know some people that ask their people to go to 40 to 80 hours of training a year, and they don't care what kind it is. They, of course, want to see automotive. They get it. But if someone wants to go to an adult learning night school and take an Excel class, they add it to their list of accredited hours that they use for training. So I think to your point, think of the soft skills that we're missing in our world that adult education can help people with. I think it's brilliant. By the way, I want to go back to the vision thing. You said they paid for their training, not for the ticket in the room, right?
Well, so the ticket in the room, when you buy your vision ticket, right, all the training comes with the ticket.
Yeah.
So having, a completed confirmation that you went through the course,
but they're not going to pay for the hotel or the airfare.
No hotel, airfare. They need to see that you paid your employee for the time that they're being trained and the cost of the training. So that's how that works. I
totally love that. And I think this is a great opportunity for us to tap our government's workforce development funds for that. Now, here's my big question. How the hell can you close and go to vision? Are you crazy? Everybody I talk to says, can't close your shop to go to training.
Well, the funny part about that is we did close. We all got to connect on a higher level. We spent a lot of time together. I think it was really impactful for our culture. The month we came back, we actually got stuck at the airport, right? It was the year it snowed when everybody was leaving. We got stuck at the airport. The airport closed. We had to go get a hotel 45 minutes away. I thought we were going to die in the 2 Uber cars we took because the guys really didn't know how to drive in the snow. This was crazy. And
Wait a minute. I remember there was 2 years ago. Weren't you and I sitting next to each other in the airport? And didn't you say to me, I'm taking calls, or you're helping out right from your phone?
Yep.
Wasn't that?
The team got up there in the morning, and obviously we couldn't open the shop on Monday. We had 2 people that were on the ground out of the 13 of us that went. Everybody's busting out their computer. They're making phone calls from their cell phones,
I love
letting
it.
customers know, hey, we aren't open today. We got stuck in Kansas City, but it was really cool to watch the whole team. We ended up having our best month ever that month.
See, and I hear
It was
that
attributed to
over
that.
and over and over again. We had our best month ever. And the thing that I'm not sure there's enough shop owners that appreciate this is if you tell your customer, your client ahead of time, and you just don't book any work on those particular days you're going to be closed, it's really not that big of an impact on your client base, except for maybe in an occasional emergency that happens. But the people come back to your point about the culture, the immersion, the tightness that happens amongst the team, and everybody seems to pull together, and they usually have a banner month the month they come back.
They really do. It's exciting to watch.
Okay.
So let's see. They got the on-the-job training, right, which is your people that are already working with you.
Yeah.
And the 50% of the employees' wages up to $10,000 for their first 6 months of training. And it supports new hires when you bring them on and put the training that offsets the cost of training a new person. And the new hire usually doesn't have all the skills listed on the job description, but they're willing to learn. This gives you an opportunity to even train them up on your own program, as long as you got their job description laid out or a skills list and stuff. So you really got to have your stuff buttoned up to have it work. But it's like I said, it's different in every state and or county or region. You really got to get in touch with your specific area and see if it's a state-driven, county-driven program. Like ours is 3 counties that the Workforce Development does here in New Jersey: Morris, Sussex, and Warren. And going back to that, the networking and grabbing, I think we had 6 different shops when we did the New Jersey inspector's license training a few years back. It was the first time I took the opportunity to do so. And really, once you get the paperwork done and those employees are already in the system, it makes it a lot easier to continue to be able to utilize the services that they offer.
Yeah.
It's like not a one and done. It's a continuing thing where they want to see people continue to become more valuable in the workforce.
Training is more important and more impactful now than ever. And if you're ignoring the movement of technology and the things that we need to know, then you're probably not going to be around in the maybe not too near distant future. One of the things that I did yesterday in preparing for this episode was I went to Google and I typed in workforce development near me. And of course, the New York State site came up. And I'm sure that's going to happen in every shop owner that's listening to this. Just move over while you're doing, get on your keyboard, type in workforce development, print it out, look at it, do the discovery, make a phone call, and get on this thing, because it's just going to be money that's going to go to other places if it's not to you.
Sure. I did have one friend in Pennsylvania had a real hard time finding the right person to get in contact with. A lot of times people don't answer the phone or they don't call you back. You got to be persistent and you got to push. And when they finally got the right contact, keep that contact or even share it on one of the podcasts. Or I would almost say try to find a network or a place we can put the information for people in different states or counties that would need the help also. So it's a big deal.
Excellent point. My Remarkable Results radio community would be a great place to put up any information that we find about each other state. Let's make sure we get this money, but more importantly, I don't care about the money. It's nice to be able to have it to take some of the pressure off, because you've got to be spending X amount of your sales on training anyway. But in order, we're all looking, we're all saying, every time I'm with a bunch of shop owners and with coaching groups, I'm with these peer things going on. Everyone's talking about the big 3: sales, margin, and costs. And you can work your sales to death. You can work your margin, and you got to work all that stuff. It's critically important, but you also have to manage your costs. And I was with a group and they said, what did you do? Well, I found by the time they went through 3 or 4 expenses, they found themselves like $500 a month. Well, that's $6,000 a year. And when you think about what do I have to do to put $6,000 into my bottom line, it's, sales margin. It's so nice to be able to have a resource like this that could reduce our training expenses, and if not reduce it, to put your training costs in the negative, meaning I'm getting more money than I'm spending. I don't think the government will let you.
I think you can get more than you spend. You got to show proof of
I'm
payment,
sorry.
receipts, all that stuff. It's
You're
all
right.
part of the game.
I'm
But
just
here's the
wishful
thing,
thinking.
right? You're not spending the money on you. You're putting it out front. You're getting reimbursed for it.
Yeah.
But it, like you said, it really does lower that,
Yeah.
percentage of income that you're spending on training, and still giving your employees the opportunity to grow, which I think is a huge, huge part of retention, right? If you're not giving somebody an opportunity to grow, they're going to go, especially if they're growth-minded individuals, which is, I think, what most of us in the industry are looking for.
Yeah. Career pathing today, when you sit down and talk to your people, it is about, if it doesn't include the words training, then you're missing the mark. You could hook them up with a mentor. I get all that. But you can have a mentor, you can also have training. And then when they come back from the training and they hook up with a mentor, and then they find out the value that came from the training and the practical application of the training while they're being mentored, get that training, part of that training at least, paid for. And I think when we talk career pathing with our people, it must include a training pathway also.
Yeah, and I think that's something solid. All of us need to really look at how can we continue to develop and create stronger, better training programs, even in our own shops and in peer groups. Sometimes you can even share your training program with each other.
Yeah.
How do we, level our people up? It's something we were using the Napa Auto Care. We're a Napa Auto Care Center, right? So they have a great, already accredited program, at least in New Jersey, for running your new staff through the apprenticeship program. They wind up with 4 or 5 ASEs at the end of it, and they get the time to develop, where that new technician isn't really generating enough production or labor dollars to come in, then you're paying out. And this really makes that tremendously easier to put somebody on board.
Okay,
and,
we can
bring them on right.
We can talk for another hour, but we're talking about the government, and there's so much we don't know at the other end by state. But the encouragement for this episode really is to get off your duff, workforce development in my state, read it, find out what it's about, do the things that Shawn is doing to grow his great company, to have great influence on his people, and encourage the training culture that's so important. What did we miss that you have the last word on here? Did we miss something?
Well, I would say just, get off your butt and get it going, because your people want to learn. We all want to learn. I think it's a great way to not necessarily hurt the bottom line as bad as you would, and be able to invest more in your people. And it kind of puts you above other shops in the industry that aren't putting their hard-earned money and time into developing their people to run their business.
Yeah, we are an essential skilled trade. And when you tell that to a workforce development individual that we're in the automotive repair business, we were an essential during COVID, but more importantly, we're an essential skilled trade, and technology is moving so fast. We have to have a very hardcore training initiative. We need your help, Mr. Government person. I believe they're going to salute you and say, let's get this thing done. But to your point, got to speak to the right person. Hey, this was great. Thank you for sharing. I always love the aggressive and progressive things that you're doing down at your company, Magic, Automotive Magic, Shawn Gilfillan in Kenvil and Lake Hopatcong. Magic Solutions, Coaching's High Performance Team Leadership Training, and LifeCalibration.com. Thank you, my friend.
Awesome. Thanks, Carm. Glad to be of service.